What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the JTW Sports Show. We're back. You can see we have a little bit different of a background. We're finally back at school. Not for long though. We're here for recruiting weekend as college football players. That's part of our college football duties to always recruit, get our team better. But hey, we're here to talk about some NFC playoff picture. Will, before we get started, tell me how you feeling, buddy.
I'm great. I'm great. I was supposed to get some snow up here in North Carolina this
Ooh,
weekend.
that's gonna be good.
So it's gonna be nice. Me and Jimmy might, go out and make snow angels and whatnot. But
Yeah, exactly.
I'm excited for these games. Later on today we're about to see two AFC games, so that's gonna be fun. But these NFC games are gonna be good. They're gonna be good.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit in the last one where we weren't too excited about the NFC ones
Yeah.
as much as we were about the AFC games because I just feel like there's more like storyline to the AFC and like I
Yeah.
feel like they're a little bit more fun of games, but these games are still gonna be fun. There's still some storylines, and I'm excited for it either way.
Oh yeah.
So to get started with it, it was a lock a while ago. The Green Bay Packers, number one seed, they do get a first round bye, so good for them. They're gonna end up playing the winner of
I mean, they'll
the
play the lowest seed. They'll
the
play the
lowest
lowest.
seed.
Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
could end up playing Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Who is in the first game tomorrow at 1 o'clock against Tampa Bay. Most people are not giving Philly a chance. I'm one of those people. I don't know about you. I just watched. I don't think Philly should have been in the playoffs. I just watched them get dogged by Dallas that last game of the
Yeah.
season. Like, bro, how can you put them in there?
Yeah. I mean, obviously they had the record and they did what it took to get into the playoffs. Jalen Hurts was not not great, to be honest. I didn't think he was like great this season, but his numbers were okay. His fantasy numbers were
his fantasy
fantastic.
numbers are good because of rushing, but
Yeah.
yeah, he was
He's
average
okay.
this year.
I think I don't think he's necessarily the answer there. But it's a fun game. I mean, Tom Brady doesn't have a great track record against the Eagles, so that should be fun to watch. But I mean, it's a battle of the number one rushing offense in the Philadelphia Eagles versus the number one passing offense with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So hopefully it's a great offensive matchup and we get a high scoring action game. It should be exciting. I mean, Tom
Dude,
Brady's a GOAT. I still think they're gonna win. I still think they're gonna make it to the Super Bowl. So
it's crazy to think that the Eagles are the number one rushing offense in the league. And their leading rusher is Jalen Hurts.
yeah.
Miles Sanders is right behind him, but they don't have a like Miles Sanders is their best running back, but he's not a star running back. He's just
No.
said, and other than him, they have Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, and Kenneth Gainwell. So
If their offensive line wasn't so good, they would
I
they
mean,
would maybe have
Jason
lost more
Kelsey's
than
still
half the
there,
games.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jason Kelsey,
Jason
he's
Kelsey,
probably
in
gonna get
my
some
opinion,
first team All Pro.
yeah, in my opinion, Jason Kelsey is the best center in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. Besides Alex Mack when he played for the Falcons, but that's a different conversation. No, but I think this year, personally, I think it was Creed Humphrey. I think he was the best center in football. But Jason Kelsey also, I think he was right there.
Yeah,
Um, but I think Creed Humphrey had more hype simply because he was a rookie.
yeah,
But Jason Kelsey, he's fantastic. He's great. Hopefully he leads them to a win. I mean, I want to see the Eagles win. It's an underdog story. It's always fun, but
yeah.
that should be a fun one. The next one is the Cowboys versus 49ers. This should be interesting.
Yeah, this is probably this might be the best out of all the games. And honestly,
That's what I'm
you
thinking.
got two teams. They played 3 years in a row in the '90s. Or yeah, in the '90s. This is the first time that they've met since then in the postseason. Um, Dallas 12-5. Dak came back, had a good year. Had some rough spots like always. But San Fran, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, yeah, he had 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, threw for 3,800 yards. But like at the beginning of the season, everybody was like, let's get him out of there. They drafted Trey Lance third overall. Like everybody was like, look, like we're done with Jimmy G. And they're 10-7 back in the playoffs with a chance to make a run. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's because of the team behind him, the team around him. I think Jimmy G he's an average quarterback. I mean, he's not bad at all. He was
Yeah.
a good Brady replacement when he was in New England. And
He
he
reminds
came
me
to
of I don't mean to interrupt. He
no,
reminds me
you're
of
good.
like a Joe Flacco. He's a good quarterback if he has a team around him.
Yeah, I mean, I like Joe Flacco. Prime Joe Flacco was a real deal. He was good. But Jimmy Garoppolo, he can make the plays when necessary, and he knows how to give the ball to his playmakers. Debo Samuel been fantastic this year. He's a
Breakout
great
year, breakout star,
breakout year.
honestly.
He's just an athlete. He is exactly how I envisioned the Carolina Panthers want McCaffrey to end up being. Um,
I want use him
my
more in the
thinking was
slot than at running back.
exactly,
Exactly.
and his usage was high, but not nearly as high as McCaffrey's was.
Yep.
But that's because you got other dudes, Brandon Ayuk, you got George Kittle, one of the greatest tight ends in recent history. Their team is solid. They have a solid defense and good. I mean, good enough O line. It's starring Alex Mack. At center. Love me some Alex Mack. But it's gonna be a fun matchup. I think Jimmy G is going to. I personally think he's gonna throw for a lot. And I think he's going to show that Trayvon Diggs did not deserve to be a first-team All-Pro guy. I think Trayvon Diggs. This Cowboys defense is really hard to judge because Trayvon Diggs is a good corner. He's first-team
Yeah.
All-Pro, doesn't deserve it, but he has all the interceptions. He's a great ball hawk, but he's way too aggressive and he lets a lot of yards go. But he's getting a lot of his big plays because of the pass rush and Micah Parsons, and they're solid. They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
I like this game.
Who are you taking? Who are you taking?
I am going to take the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay. I think I'm going to go Cowboys on
have a
this
good
one as
game.
well. I'm going to go Cowboys on this one as well. Just because I think their defense is better than San Francisco's. And
You see, I think they're pretty
they're
close defensively, but I think that the Cowboys have more firepower on offense.
Yeah, I would say that if the one thing holding the 49ers back is probably their receiving core. Looking at it, Debo has by far the most yards on their team. Kittle had he was a little injured this year. But after Kittle, Brandon Ayuk had a down year, not what we expected him to have. But if he can pick it up, then I can see them, winning this and doing something in the playoffs. But their fourth leading receiver is it's Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah.
And he's a fullback, which shows what kind of offense they have and stuff like that. But at the same time, if your fourth leading receiver is a fullback, your offense probably isn't that good. So I think the Cowboys defense, being one of the best defenses in the league, will be able to, they'll be able to hold them, in check.
And it's funny that we say how the Cowboys are going to win, because I was actually thinking, believe it or not, if there's any of these teams in the super wildcard teams to make it to the Super Bowl, I think it's the 49ers. I think they do have a complete team around them. Not necessarily the best team around them, but a complete team.
So what do you mean by super wild?
Well, I mean these teams, the not higher seeds, the lower seeds.
Okay, the lower, out of each side, you think they're the number one out of both sides?
Yeah. I was just thinking about it. I don't see any other team. I was thinking maybe Steelers, but I can't see the Steelers.
I honestly think if there's a team that can make a run out of the lower seeds, it would, in all honesty,
remember the Cardinals.
I was gonna say the Cardinals. I think it might.
Like the Cardinals.
I really do think it might be the Raiders. I think the Raiders are playing good right now.
I just haven't seen Derek Carr in playoffs. So
I know they've won 4 in a row. The Raiders, they're looking good. And I like their team. I like Derek Carr. They've, at the beginning of the year, we talked about them on this show. I mean, they were playing good. Derek Carr was in MVP conversations, and they once all the John Gruden stuff happened, but they're turning it around now. And I think they're finally behind their coach, as we talked about the other day. So I think I would go with the Raiders over the 49ers in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it.
But as you mentioned, the Cardinals, they're playing the Rams, who Matthew Stafford's been struggling over the last few weeks, dude. He's had, if I want to say it was 9 interceptions over his last 4 games, something like that. That's not very good.
Yeah. And it kind of sparks the question. I've seen this on Twitter a bunch of how much this game means towards Matt Stafford's legacy.
Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit before the show. What are you thinking? Does this game define his legacy? Well, does this matter in the grand scheme of things?
I think it matters, but not as much as people are trying to make it seem like it matters. It definitely, I'm gonna say it does matter. I'm gonna say it does matter because although he was on a bad Detroit team, he made that team good, and so everyone knew that. Good. He made them still slightly below average, but people knew he was good. Yeah. But he always had that guy. He had Calvin Johnson for all these years, and when he didn't have Calvin Johnson, he was really bad. And the team was really bad. But now he's on this super team. This Rams team is a super team. Let's be honest, and they're still not producing. So I think it says a little bit about him. But I think this win, if he can get this win against the Cardinals, make it to the next round of the playoffs, and potentially make it to the Super Bowl, I think that sparks a huge upvote on the representation on his resume. That's what I was trying to say, on his resume.
For me personally, it's so hard to gauge. Like you said, he's always had that guy. I'm a Matthew Stafford fan. I've always liked him. I thought he was underrated, in Detroit, just because they were a bad team, bad organization. But I think this game means a lot for his legacy, because if he does not win this, I think that everybody will see him for what he's been all his career, and that's average. Everybody wants to make him out to be this great quarterback and everything, but the Rams brought him to their team to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
they brought him there to win a Super Bowl.
That was the reason for bringing Matt Stafford in there.
So then they go out and sign Odell. Then they go out and trade for Von Miller. They already have Aaron Donald. Cooper Kupp just had one of the best. Jalen Ramsey. Cooper Kupp just had one of the best wide receiver seasons of all time.
The only other receiver to have a better season was a Matthew Stafford receiver, Calvin Johnson.
But if they do not win the Super Bowl this year, this will be seen as a failure.
I can see that. In my opinion, it's more of it's not as much of a knock on his legacy as it is another sign of greatness to one of the other quarterbacks. Because I think if there's another quarterback out of this conference, it's going to be Rodgers or Brady, and both of them are great. Both of them are first ballot Hall of Famers. But I want to see Stafford do it.
I think the Rams have the best team out of every, as far as overall talent. I think, I'm not saying
as of right now, because the Buccaneers are so hurt. I agree, and the Packers are close, but Packers don't have as many big names.
The Packers are what they are because they have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, but they're complete. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, he's the MVP this year.
But imagine Aaron Rodgers on a team with the weapons that the Rams have. You know what I'm saying? As good as Devontae Adams is, and Devontae Adams is a top 3 receiver in the league, possibly number 1.
Not 2 or 3.
But the receivers behind him are Allen Lazard,
Equinemius St. Brown,
Valdez-Scantling. Those guys are. I mean, those are solid number 3 guys. They're not. I don't think any of them's a number 2. Imagine if you took the receivers from both of those teams and put them together, the Rams would have 4 of the top 5.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know what I'm saying? Fully healthy.
Yeah.
So I just think that I think that this game is going to be big for Matt Stafford's legacy.
I mean, either way, to add to his legacy, to Stafford's legacy, he's going to have to get past this Arizona Cardinals team. They're a good team. They've fallen off a lot recently. They were the best team in the NFL, and we even said it when they were, when they had the best record. We said this isn't the best team. The Packers are a better team, but this team has
they remind me a lot of the Steelers from last year. As where they had a decent schedule, and they ended up falling off towards the end of the year. But a big win for them would be JJ Watt's been practicing all week, and signs are looking towards him playing. So I mean, I don't know how much he would play. I don't know if that's more of a thing trying to get into the head of the Rams, thinking, oh, JJ Watt's going to play. Because if JJ Watt's on the field, you have to account for him. He is one of the best defensive players we've ever seen.
Dude, it's something that we talked about recently, and I think JJ Watt's legacy. We're talking about legacies here. It's been so weird because a lot of people are forgetting how good JJ Watt is and was.
He's the only person to ever have 20 sacks in 2 seasons.
That's crazy. And I personally think that JJ Watt is one of the top 3 defenders in our generation.
Oh yeah.
And a top 5 max. And a lot of people are forgetting how good he is and still is. So yeah, he's injury prone. If he plays, it's a different game.
Every year that he's played a full season in the last, couple years, he's been dominant. It's just he hasn't played a full season, including this year. And we talked about it in the offseason. They got JJ Watt. We were like, they signed AJ Green. We were like, oh gosh, the Cardinals are about to be really, really good. And don't
get me wrong, they're a good team. Kyler Murray's good.
Kyler Murray and D Hop were both hurt. So that's why they've fallen off a little bit. I think D Hop is still out, if I'm not mistaken. And so
Obviously, Kyler's back. He's been back for a little bit, but
yeah,
D-Hop.
and so even with the addition of JJ Watt, without D Hop, they're not beating the Rams.
And James Conner, he also fell off a little bit because they started playing Chase Edmonds so much.
Which is so weird.
It is weird.
James Conner was one of the best running backs in the league this year while Chase Edmonds was out, and then he comes back and takes all his reps. I understand you got this thing. Like, I can imagine if that was, Aaron Rodgers or Kyler Murray, that, you knew that they were the starter, but
also, I mean, James Conner just a few years ago in Pittsburgh was the real deal. He's shown everywhere he's been a good running back.
Well, that's like with the Rams. With the Rams, Darrell Henderson got hurt and he came back, and they were like, "Look, we've been Sony Michel's been playing good. You're not going to get the carries. You're not going to get the carries you were getting before you got hurt. But as long as we're winning, you shouldn't care."
Yeah.
Now that's why I think James Conner got a little upset, is because they started losing a little bit, and he's like, "Look, I was scoring, 2 touchdowns a week, and now we're losing because I'm getting 10 carries."
Yeah. So for this week, who are your winners for each game?
So for the first game, I'm going Tampa. I'm gonna go Dallas, and I'm gonna go the Rams. I feel like that's pretty straightforward. I'm gonna pick all the higher seeds in these.
I'm gonna go with the upset, and for the Rams game.
Okay.
It's gonna be Tampa, and I do think the Cowboys are gonna win. And then I'm gonna say the Cardinals, just to kind of switch it up a little bit, but also I think they do have the firepower, and I think they're gonna shock people. And Matt Stafford, just like you said recently, has not been great, and I think if they stop Cooper Kupp, then they'll win the game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
you got Kyler Murray, who can escape from an Aaron Donald pressure. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll
Von Miller's not what he used to be either. So
exactly. But
I think the Rams have it just a little bit because, like I said, they don't.
I want the Rams to win. I'm cheering for the Rams.
That's why I think the Cardinals won't win.
Yeah. Well, either way, it'll be fun. It's exciting to watch. I mean, we got the AFC game starting just here in a sec, so excited for that. Playoffs, man. Playoffs is always a fun time of the year, so can't wait to watch it.
We'll be back next week, to catch up on earlier in the week, we'll catch up on the games that happen, and then later in the week, we'll do videos just like this where we're talking about the matchups. So,
yep. All right, well, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you guys.